It's finally here, you guys. It's finally happened. Nintendo unveiled more details about its new game console, the Switch, last night. Is the Switch gonna be good? Is it gonna be bad? Will it be mediocre? Keep watching to find out. It's finally happened, you guys. Nintendo unveiled more details about the Nintendo console, the Switch. Over the span of several decades, Nintendo has continuously tried to innovate. And while I applaud the innovation, sometimes these kind of fell through and didn't really meet their demographic. Now, with the Nintendo Switch, you have a 6.2-inch 720 multi-touch display that runs at 1280 by 720 resolution when used in handheld mode. When docked, the Switch is capable of outputting up to 1080p visuals through an HDMI connection attached to the television. Nintendo also says that the Switch runs off a custom NVIDIA Tigris processor, but hasn't released any more specific details on that particular chip. Storage-wise, the Nintendo Switch includes a 32GB onboard memory, which feels really, really low. I'm going to tell you, 500 gigs on the PlayStation 4, definitely not enough. 500 gigs on the 360, definitely not enough. As time goes on and games get bigger and bigger, specifically Blu-rays, Blu-rays have the capability or the capacity of 50 gigs. Now, 50 gigs will not fit in a Nintendo Switch. Now, they're going to be using micro SD cards. That's what their games are going to be mainly. In today's age of storage, 500 gigs and even 1 terabyte hard drives seem kind of low because of how big these games are finally starting to get. The modern focus on downloadable titles, though, might not be the focus for the Nintendo Switch. At least I don't think. As far as what they've shown, I don't think. I think they're going to be actual physical cards. The storage can be expanded through the use of the SD cards as well. And the physical game cards will probably be better because you can use, instead of having to use in storage for save mode and stuff, you can store your stuff onto a cartridge like how it used to be, I want to say. If they've actually programmed this thing the way I think they programmed it, it might help alleviate a lot of the console's onboard storage space by offloading it to the SD cartridges. So that's kind of a plus, I want to say. On top of this, Nintendo has been advertising between 2.5 and 6 hours of battery life, depending on the graphical demands of each game. So I would assume that it's safe to say that The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild will probably soak up that battery life real good. But if you're playing something simple, like an indie game or an indie title that doesn't require too much graphical fidelity, then that will make it last about 6 hours. But be prepared to have to buy probably an extra battery. This thing comes, that's one of the negatives that I have with the Switch, is that a lot of it seems peripheral based. The controllers are very intuitive, and it is actually going to cause a lot of developers to think outside the box in how they develop their games. And it'll be interesting to see how this actually plays out in the future. But there's a lot of things, physical things, that I feel are kind of gimmicky, like the wristband that comes with the L and R buttons. It seems kind of foolish to me that you would have to buy the L and R buttons in a different color. I know for a fact that it comes with the basic model, which is fine, and I think most people are going to deal with that. But as far as trying to get different colors of the controllers and then the different L and R switches to match that color, I'm pretty sure that's going to be pretty expensive. These the controller itself, the Joy motes, the Joy controllers, Joy-Cons is what they're calling them. They seem really expensive. The tech itself seems really intuitive, and I know for a fact that even now, controllers are about $65, and that's tax included, I want to say. But with these, I have a feeling they're going to be more expensive, and I also feel like they're really small to the point where you might actually lose them. Unless there's something on the Switch where you can actually GPS track your controllers, which would actually be really great. But I don't think that's what they're doing. So that's kind of a negative for me. Lastly, the Switch can connect through the internet using an 802.11 AC Wi-Fi connection, which is pretty much the norm now, and the ability to connect up to 8 Switch consoles at once for local multiplayer will also be able to connect using the Ethernet using a USB LAN adapter with a dock. Now, that's interesting because that's one of the negatives I have, is if you can play up to 2 players on the Switch itself on the tiny screen, and if you plug it into the dock, you can play up to 2 players. But you're going to have to buy multiple Switches if you have a big family. Now, this is the issue that I've always had with the Nintendo 3DS or handhelds. I have 4 kids, and each one of them has wanted a Game Boy. And every one of them wants to play something together, so I've always had to buy duplicate games. I don't like that. Just as I don't like buying a PC game and then having to buy it on my console to see the difference, because sometimes consoles have different DLC and different things like that. I hate buying my games twice, which is why I like the thought of Microsoft actually doing this buy one game, get them on your computer for free thing. This is a really good step as far as the way that we will be getting our games in the future. But Nintendo needs to keep a really close watch on what they say as far as that's concerned. Now, the stream itself last night was really interesting. Some of it being kind of cringeworthy at times, but the software that they displayed was very interesting. I have not been excited for a Super Mario game in well over 20 years. I want to say the last one I was really excited for was Super Mario 3, which is by far my favorite. I was looking forward to Super Mario 64, which kind of opened the door to open world, and I liked that game, but I wasn't really thrilled about the whole aspect of it. I don't know, something about it just didn't click with me. But I know a lot of people like that game, and good on you if you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it to a certain extent, and I liked the technical marvel of it, the technical spectacle that it represented for the time. There was a lot of potential that people saw once that game was made. If it wasn't for Super Mario 64, a lot of things now wouldn't exist. So in that respect, I respect that game, and I thank it for all it's done for the gaming industry as a whole. But that being said, the software that they showed off this at this thing, there's a lot of positives and a lot of negatives that come with it. I have this thing that every time I watch a Nintendo event, they're always talking about titles that aren't physically there yet, or they've only made a CG video for, or whatever the case may be. The only things that seem quite possibly completed and might be out at launch, Super Mario Odyssey looks very interesting, and I'm actually really excited to see and play this game. Something about it clicked right away, and it wasn't just about the graphical fidelity or anything like that. The story itself seems a lot more interesting and a lot more intricate, and it seems like the Bowser is going to be trying to take over the real world. There's a couple of clips I will show you in this video that you see Bowser billboards in New York City. So that leads me to believe that at some point he kind of bled over and now is trying to take over the real world, where he tried to take over the Mushroom Kingdom and failed. So Super Mario has to come back, and I don't know the whole story. I don't know if this is actual fact. This is just all speculation on my part, so take it with a grain of salt. But it looks very interesting. The gameplay looks very intuitive. You can finally use your cap to increase your jump. You can also use your cap as an attack. A lot of it's going to circle around the hat. Super Mario's hat is itself, in and of itself, a main character of the game. So this is going to be interesting as far as the Super Mario universe is concerned. This is going to be one of those titles that might actually sell that console. The Switch releases March 3rd, I believe, of 2017, so we're not that far off from the release of this console, which is also very interesting. But they did show off a lot of the Breath of the Wild. They showed off in a tiny split clip, which you can see right here, is a side-scrolling Sonic game, which actually looks good. I don't know whether it's because of its 25-year anniversary. I think Sonic is rolling up on its 25th year anniversary. And I think they're releasing Sonic Mania, which is pretty much a reanimated redone HD version of all of his old stuff with some new zones and some new racetracks and some new different types of game mechanics introduced within the game itself, which is also great. I am looking forward to playing that. But that Sonic 3D game that starts off kind of 3D and then goes into 2.5D, where it goes side-scrolling and you can see 3D backgrounds, it looks phenomenal, and it looks like it's going to be a return to form for Sega. So good on you guys for finally realizing what needs to happen to make you guys successful and not fall under the bus. Now, they also showed off tiny tidbits of Xenoblade 2.
俺は君のために楽園に行く。気持ちをお前に閉じ込められてたまるか。
みんながいるこの世界が大好き。私も決めたからもう怖くない。
Xenoblade 2, in my opinion, is one of the best games to ever come out of the Wii U's life expectancy. And Xenoblade actually, by word of mouth, became really popular. Now, if anybody knows the Xenoverse, and I'm not talking Dragon Ball, the guy who created this game, who runs Monolith Studios, is the same guy that did Xenogears, Xenosaga series, and so there's a lot of tropes that follow from those games to this game, and it's a very intricate, woven story. He takes a lot of respect into his characters and takes a lot of time to develop them. So I'm looking forward to Xenoblade 2. Also, Shin Megami Tensei was announced. You didn't get to see gameplay, obviously, just a CG little clip, which was interesting, and them saying, okay, just wait for it, it'll be here. ARMS is, you use the controllers. That's one of the things that kind of felt kind of gimmicky to me, but other than that, it's just another way to play. And so good on you to have the options for people to actually enjoy certain things in different ways. That's great. So having the options to play through these games in different ways is a good idea. Just try not to lean too heavily and try to rely on that being the thing that sells the Switch. The things that sold the Switch for me were Super Mario, which is very rare because Super Mario hasn't sold a single console to me in years. They had Mario Kart 8, which looked phenomenal. I haven't played a Mario Kart game since Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo. I played a little bit of the Mario Kart on the Wii, I think, and on my son's 3DS, which, I mean, the controls are tight and it's fine. Super Mario Kart's never changed for me. It's always been a really tight game. Look at The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
The history of the royal family of Hyrule is also the history of the Calamity Ganon, a primal evil that has endured over the ages.
Tells me that you have no recollection of me, however.
I think you are now ready to hear what happened 100 years ago.
Until now, it was all for nothing.
Save her, my daughter.
Open your eyes.
So that's just one of the titles that I'm actually looking forward to playing on the Switch console. The Breath of the Wild looks amazing. It's kind of Skyrim-esque. Speaking of Skyrim, Skyrim is also coming to the Nintendo Switch, and I'll let Todd take it away for you to enjoy.
And we're excited to announce that yes, Skyrim is coming to the Nintendo Switch. We love to make games and worlds that you can get lost in, that you can make your own, and that you never want to put down. Well, now you don't have to. Now you can play Skyrim wherever you want and take it on your own adventures. But what's really exciting is for all of us at Bethesda to finally work with Nintendo. You look at all they've done for video games over the decades. They've brought so much innovation and fun to all of us, and they're doing it again. The Switch is both classically Nintendo, yet something all new, and we want to thank them for letting us be a part of it.
So that's got to be exciting for the Nintendo fans who haven't had a chance to play Skyrim yet, because they are too stubborn to actually switch over to any consoles or PC or do anything of the sort to try to get some extra games to play with. So now you don't have to. As Todd said, you can play it on the Nintendo Switch. Look forward to that. It doesn't say when a release date is slated for, but I'm sure it'll be maybe holiday season 2017. So not only is Nintendo touting third-party support, which is about time, but they're also getting support from little indie developers. Here's a title that you guys might be looking forward to: Shantae Half Genie Hero. Needless to say, that's just some of the cool stuff that's coming to the Nintendo Switch. I didn't want to make this video too long. I just wanted to give you guys the news, a little bit of a heads up, and let you know what's going on with Nintendo. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. So now I'm going to leave you with the final trailer, Super Mario Odyssey. I hope you enjoyed the trailer, and I hope you enjoyed this video. It's always fun hanging out with you guys, and as always, I will catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching The Rock Plays.